name is Beck and welcome to a spoiler-free review for Eye of the World. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, and I also did a spoiler vlog which I will link down below. It was my reading experience because I have never read this before, so I wanted to chronicle that. So I'll leave it linked so that you can go and check it out if you want to, but this review will remain spoiler-free. So this book follows a character named Rand, and we follow a multitude of characters, not just him, but we start off with him, and he is a farm boy, he's a sheep herder, and the story opens when he and his father Tam are going into their local village because of the festival Winterfest that is coming upon them. They have brought some supplies into the village for the festival, and then they've gone back home to sleep, and then they'll return the next day for when the festival is underway. But before the festival actually happens, when Tam, his father, and Rand are at their house is attacked by these mythical creatures called Trollocs, and they're basically like giant troll monster creatures, and you don't know why they've attacked, but this is effectively the inciting action that forces Rand out of the world he's familiar with and into a world where the folk tales that he has heard as a child might potentially be real. So it's forced him out of his familiar and into the unknown, and that is where this story begins. I also need to mention that the Trollocs are servants of the Dark One, so this deals very much with the tropes of like the Chosen One, the orphan farm boy, and it also deals with the trope of the Dark One, which is like the evil or the ultimate evil that is pervading the land that the Chosen One or a group of people on a quest must go forth and defeat. Because it had these elements in it, they are very familiar across a lot of fantasy books, and I read a lot of fantasy, so when I read this I actually found all of these tropes very familiar, very comforting, and I enjoyed this book a lot for that reason. But I also want to point out that if you're looking at this as being bad because it takes place in all of these familiar tropes and it doesn't subvert them to the extent that newer fantasy might, this doesn't mean this is a bad book by any means. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, and even though it is long, it was really accessible to read. The writing is very, very easy and very palpable to take on and understand, and it was very detailed, but I found that because it was so detailed it allowed me to build up a rapport with the characters, and so when things went down I actually really cared about what happened, and it gave me a context and an understanding to the world building that was going on, and I really liked those aspects of the book. I think it built everything up really, really well in a way that I could understand, and I was worried going into this that there would be a lot of names that I had to remember, but at the moment I could keep track of them all fairly easily, and everything seemed pretty functional. So it was a very well worked story, and it did a lot of setup in the first book for world building that I'm very excited to see built on later, because this I know will only grow with the rest of the installments in the series. I also want to mention that the pace of this was also never boring to me, and like I said, it is long. It's about 770 pages, almost 800, and so for a book that is that length, I anticipate that some parts for me are going to drag, and there was a little bit towards the end that I could find fault with when it came to the naming and the world building and the detail. I think some of it was shoehorned in at the end, and while things were mentioned at the beginning and were foreshadowed, I found that it wasn't quite enough for the amount of unloading that the last parts of the book did. Obviously, I'm not going to be specific because of spoilers, but certain naming conventions and aspects of the world were left to the end with a bit of a discussion, and I think that's where it kind of fell down for me, when previously it had built a fairly solid net and understanding through Rand understanding things and characters encountering and understanding things themselves. So that minor not info dump, but just information overload made me a little bit brain fried near the end. And there was also something else that I want to mention, but I need to be really brief because again, it's a spoiler. So a relationship that developed between two of the particular characters in here, obviously I'm not going to say who, it seemed like they built up a mutual respect for each other, but then when the end of the book came, it hinted more at romantic feelings, and I didn't see that built up enough during the course of the book for that conclusion to happen with those characters at the end. It didn't seem to have enough foundation for me. So I mean, this book got a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I think I was blowing my expectations out of the water because I was expecting this to be a 5 out of 5 stars, a new favourite. This has a huge fandom behind it, but to be honest, I'm actually kind of glad that it is only a 4.5 stars, because that means that the series is only going to build on it from here, and I have so much more to look forward to, and I still really, really enjoyed the first installment. This 0.5 was also docked a little bit towards the end for the things I mentioned, but also because even though there was a pretty cool standoff, I felt things seemed to wrap up fairly quickly and fairly neatly, and I think those things are going to unravel in certain nuances later. But for the specific ending of this, I don't know, I think I expected something a little bit more climactic. Not to say the ending wasn't climactic, but the way that the book ended after this standoff, it just didn't seem to have as much of a ramification or a ripple effect as I expected it to, and I'm not even quite certain what I expected, so I don't really know how to sum up my feelings accurately, but I just felt a little bit like, oh, okay, it's over, rather than, oh my god, it's over, I need more, if that makes sense. I think I'm being a little bit nitpicky because honestly, I really enjoyed this book. Obviously, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, I'm going to continue on, and if you watch my spoiler vlog, you'll know that there are a lot of elements in this that I really, really liked. So it was actually great, and I'm going to continue reading this pretty much in the next heartbeat because I don't own the second book yet, but I definitely will be buying it, and I will be buying the rest of the series accordingly. The characters all had unique traits. A few of them came from the same place, but they all had different ways of responding to things, which I really, really liked and enjoyed because it meant that there was a different aspect and a different twist to different situations depending on who was in it and responding to it. The writing style was also really easy to immerse myself in, and the magic and the world building and depth that this has started to stir up now is something that I'm really excited to see developed even more so in the future. So you could say that I am now a Wheel of Time fan. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please keep it spoiler free, obviously, because I know I've read the first book, but I have not read anything else, and I've stayed far away from as many spoilers on the internet as possible. So if you spoil it in the comments, I'm going to be devastated, so please do not do that for me. But I will chat to you down in the comments. Please subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.